Hello, YouTube. To follow up on the what I recommend as far as knives, I think I did a video years ago about what I look for in a knife or the perfect knife or something like that. So I felt like it was probably time to do an update on that. So here we go. I think there's four categories that I look for when I'm looking for a knife. And I'm not going to go into designs and all this other stuff. I'm just going to tell you what I want in a knife for anything, really. And in my opinion, first and foremost, that knife is to cut. Okay, it's to slice. It's to take care of cutting chores, not chopping, not batoning firewood and all this other stuff. I want a knife that's going to cut. So when I pick up that knife and I want to cut a stick into, that's what I want it to do. If I want to cut a tomato, that's what I want it to do. If I'm going to cut or butcher game, that's what I want it to do. I want it to slice, I want it to cut, okay? That's first and foremost in a knife. And if you look at a lot of knives, and many of them, I'm just going to use this generic SAK from Swiss Victorinox. I think it's Victorinox. Later, one of them. Okay. Basically, if I'm going to find the camera here, if this apex is too thick, then it's not going to cut very well. It's going to bind. It's not going to cut as well as a apex that's thin. Okay. So if I'm going to slice and use kitchen prep and a lot of other things, then I want a very thin apex. All right. But if I want to do a little bit of firecraft, if I want to do some slight batoning and things like that, then I want a thicker apex because that breaks things apart. All right. So, but again, I want that knife to be able to slice. I want it even with that thicker apex. I want that angle to be proper to where I don't have to turn the knife up so high to get past that apex to where it's driving things into that material instead of being able to lay that knife over and slice. And I explained that in the apex video up here, okay? So you can go take a look at that and maybe it'll get a better explanation of that, okay? But foremost, I want that knife to have cutability, slicing power, all right? Second thing about a knife is I want it to be easily recoverable. And what I mean by that is I don't want to have a professional come by and sharpen my knife using carbide stones and I mean just all these high-end things and takes me hours and hours and hours to resharpen. I don't want that. You've seen a lot of things, a lot of these things that on videos to where somebody takes a knife and they cut through steel, and a lot of that is, let's be honest, it's kind of tricks, folks. There is some knives out there that will do that. Okay, I'm not saying there's not, but a lot of times, and I'm not going to say every time, but a lot of times that angle is more like a chisel. All right, it's got a thick apex. It's got a very, very, very shallow grind on it to where that's about all it will do. It will not cut a tomato very well. It will not cut and slice through a lot of things that you need a knife to do. It cuts that steel very well, but cold chisels do the same thing. It doesn't slice a tomato very well. So keep that in mind when you see things like that. Also, that steel, I mean, how easy is it to recover once it gets dull? Because it will get dull. I don't care what it's made out of. Even diamond tips get dull. So, you know, at some point you're going to have to resharpen that thing, and what is it going to take to resharpen it? It's another thing you have to ask yourself, all right? So I want a knife that's going to be able to just a few strokes on my little Victorinox, and I got it on my belt. Like I said, I always have this thing close to me somewhere. That little Victorinox little thing right there, I want to be able to just recover that with just at the most 5 or 6 strokes on either side. Just, and I'm done. I'm ready to go again. All right. I want a knife to be able to do that. That's the reason I love AEBL as a stainless, and that's why I like O1, because they both hold a reasonable edge. Reasonable. S35VN holds a reasonable edge, and it's fairly easy. It's not as easy as AEBL, but it's fairly easy to resharpen and recover. Okay, so when I say recover, I mean once that knife is dull, not blunt, but dull to where it's no longer slices well. I want it to be able to resharpen in just a matter of seconds, not minutes or hours. All right. The second thing is I don't want a knife that's going to take a whole lot of maintenance. O1 it's going to take some maintenance. 1095 is going to take a little bit more maintenance than O1. Not much, but a little bit. And when I say that, it's because it's going to rust on you if you're in a wet environment. If you leave the blade, you leave moisture on the blade or leave it in the sheath or something like that, it's going to rust on you unless you have a coating of oil or something on that blade. And a lot of people ask me what I use if I'm going to store a knife. The knives, O1 knives, are shipped with a fixing wax applied. Basically, all it is just a beeswax. All right. So you just put a wax on that blade. It's edible. It's food grade approved. So, you know, it's ready to go when you get it, and it's still protected. So if you're going to store it at any length of time, that's what I would recommend is putting some type of wax on that blade that's edible. All right. So I want to, and again, that's the reason I kind of stick with O1, and because it does require a little bit of maintenance, but not as much as some of the other carbon steels. And AEBL, I mean, it just, as long as you don't soak them in some sort of chemical, then you'll be fine with AEBL. All right. And the last thing that I look for in a knife is I want versatility. I am past the point. I mean, I have Chris Reeves knives, and I mean, he makes a phenomenal pocket knife. All right, his quality is unbelievable. All right, if I was going to put my standard up on a pocket knife, Chris Reeves would be at the top, if not the top. All right, I have a couple of those, and they're great, but I don't carry them. And the reason I don't carry them is because I prefer versatility. Most of the time, when I'm in the shop, this is what I have. I have a Victorinox Spirit, okay? That's what I have on my belt at all times in the shop. Now, when I'm going out town somewhere, or uptown, I have a Victorinox, some type of Victorinox in my pocket. I don't like the Farmer because I liked to have the little tools. I like I don't like the toothpick, but I have those little ferro rod things that slips in there, and I like the tweezers. All right, so the Farmer doesn't have that. So the Fieldmaster, that is one of the ones that I carry a lot. This is the Locksmith. I like this one because it has a saw. It also has a file. And you know, it just, and the screwdrivers and bottle opener and all this other stuff, can opener. It has a lock blade. I think that Victorinox, the steel is not the greatest in the world, but it is above average. Okay, so I prefer this because of versatility. I prefer my Woodsman's grinds because of versatility. I have the versatility of a Scandi. I have the ability of a flat or some type of secondary grind that is different. That gives me some thin portion for cutability, for slicing power, but I also have the wedging properties for the Scandi, versatility. That's the reason I designed the SK, and this is one of the ones that's about ready to ship out. As you can see on the grind is the same angle all the way through, but the apex changes. See, it's got a thicker apex here. Here's a thinner apex for some slicing ability, doing feather sticks, carving, that type of thing. But then you have a more robust here for a little bit of chopping action, splitting apart materials, those wood fibers and all this other good stuff. So you have versatility in the blade. It's not just a standard single edge, run of the mill, same old grind knife. I want a knife that's going to give me a advantage when I'm doing different tasks with that knife. Okay? Because let's face it, we don't use a knife for the same thing over and over and over and over in most cases. All right? Even butchers have different selections of knives. Chefs have different selections of knives. So if I can get a knife that'll do more things, more versatile things, and help me and assist me in many more tasks than just say one or two, then that's the knife that I want. Okay? So I hope this kind of gives you guys some ideas on selecting a knife. And you have to go back and look at the other videos. You need to ask yourself, what is this knife for? What do I expect of this knife? Am I going to be just basically beating the tar out of this knife and splitting apart wood? Then I'm going to need a fro or something very similar to a fro to do that. But if I want something that's going to be slicing, going to do a little kitchen prep, going to be doing just some light fire duties, then there's a lot of things, a lot of choices in between all that. So that's something that you're going to have to decide and pick for yourself. All right. So that's what I look for in a knife, and I hope it helps you. And until the next one, you guys get in the backyard, whittle on a stick. Be sure and take a child with you, get the opportunity, and don't forget those plenty of Band-Aids and lots of knives. Catch you again soon.